Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? Stuart here with the Spain news update. We'll take a look at some of the main stories that have caught my attention in the Spanish press, and we'll take a look at some comments that have been left on the channel in recent times by viewers also. Before I begin, a huge thanks to all of the people that have supported the channel in recent times, whether it's by buying me a coffee, whether it's through the super thanks option on YouTube, longer term supporters on Patreon, or the channel members of this YouTube channel. Thank you very much for that support. Now, straight into the news. And fair to say, Spanish Prime Minister is not the most popular person in Europe at the moment. As we know, Mr. Sanchez is refusing to increase Spain's military budget to meet NATO requirements of 5% of GDP. Other European countries, it seems, have got on board, but Spain is saying no, no, no. And now Mr. Sanchez has another enemy, a powerful enemy, because he has provoked the ire of Donald Trump. And as we can read here, Trump is threatening Spain. They refuse to pay, we'll make them pay double, Trump has said. Tensions escalated at the NATO summit as Donald Trump launched a scathing attack on Spain, threatening economic retaliation for its refusal to meet the alliance's 5% GDP defense spending target. Labeling Spain the only one refusing to pay, Trump announced plans to double proposed trade tariffs as punishment, stating they'll pay double, just not through military spending. He warned that although Spain's economy is doing very well, it could be devastated if things deteriorate. Trump claimed he would negotiate directly with Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, despite EU rules preventing individual trade agreements. Spain remains the only NATO member resisting the 5% defense target, instead committing just 2%. Trump interpreted Spain's efforts to gain exemption from this requirement as unacceptable and vowed to recoup the difference via trade penalties. Although he didn't use the word tariffs explicitly, his remarks made the threat clear just 2 weeks before new EU-wide tariffs could take effect. So there we go, Mr. Trump not having any of this Spain refusing to pay nonsense and saying that Spain's economy could be devastated if they don't get on board with this NATO spending. But Mr. Sanchez didn't seem overly worried by Mr. Trump's threats because, as we know, his days as Spanish Prime Minister could soon be coming to an end. And then, of course, it will become someone else's problem. Second piece of news now, and the European Union is again telling Spain what it needs to do. And as we can read here, Brussels urges Spain to raise revenue to sustain pension system. The European Commission has recommended that Spain increase its public revenues to cope with rising pension costs driven by an aging population and increasing life expectancy. Without reforms, pensions are projected to consume 41% of Spain's tax and social contribution income between 2022 and 2050, the highest share in the EU. This leaves limited fiscal space for other essential welfare and competitiveness policies. The Commission highlights Spain's elevated deficit and debt levels as risk factors and notes that countries such as Portugal, Italy, and Romania also face significant pressure. The recommendation comes within the EU's latest annual revenue report, which dedicates a full chapter to the fiscal impact of demographic decline. The peak of Spain's pension expenditure is expected between 2046 and 2051 due to the late retirement of the baby boomer generation. Brussels suggests that Spain consider early tax reforms to ensure long-term fiscal sustainability and protect its welfare model. So there we go, another great suggestion there from Brussels to Spain. You need to raise revenue, that is, increase taxes. And is it just me, or do other people that live in Spain think that we are already overtaxed? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Third piece of news now, and there has been another shooting on the Costa del Sol, and to tell you the truth, I've lost count of the amount of shootings in that part of Spain this year. As we can read here, 3 family members have been injured in new Costa del Sol shooting. 3 members of the same family, including a minor, were injured in a shooting early Monday morning in the town of Mijas, Malaga. The incident marks yet another firearms-related event on the Costa del Sol and is now under investigation by the Guardia Civil. The victims were inside a home in the Las Lagunas district near Fuengirola when gunfire erupted around 4 a.m. Multiple shots were fired from the street into the property. The first emergency call was received at 4:12 a.m. A bystander drove the injured to a nearby medical center, from which they were later transferred by ambulance to Marbella's Costa del Sol Regional Hospital. Their conditions remain serious but stable. Investigators are working to determine whether the attack was a targeted act, potentially a revenge shooting, or if other motives are involved. The identity and number of shooters remain unknown as inquiries continue. So more people shot at on the Costa del Sol. What is going on in that part of the country? Is this also a drug-related crime? I don't know. But all I can say is luckily I'm not living in that part of Spain at the moment. And let's be honest about this, crime on the Costa del Sol seems to be getting out of hand, and the authorities need to step up. And the final piece of news now, and it's that time of the year again, the summer tourist season has started, and that means that airlines start cancelling flights. And as we can read here, an EasyJet strike causes 31 flight cancellations across Spanish airports. The first day of a 3-day strike by EasyJet cabin crew has resulted in 31 flight cancellations, 62 including return legs, at major Spanish airports by 6 p.m. The airports affected are Palma de Mallorca, 12 cancellations, Barcelona 9, Malaga 7, and Alicante 3. Destinations impacted include key European cities such as London, Geneva, Berlin, Manchester, Amsterdam, and Lisbon. These cancellations come on top of the 28 flights EasyJet had already cancelled in anticipation of the strike, which runs from Wednesday to Friday, the 27th of June. The industrial action has seen 85% participation from the 657 crew members based at the airline's Spanish hubs. Spain's Ministry of Transport has set minimum service levels at 81 to 90%, though some passengers have complained about a lack of communication from the airline. The USO union, which called the strike, has warned of an indefinite walkout starting in August if negotiations with EasyJet do not progress. So EasyJet workers again not happy with their working conditions in that company and going on strike. And I reckon this happens almost every year. And we'll keep an eye on this story because of the threats that we saw at the end of that story there for a potential indefinite strike in August. Now let's have a look at some comments that have been left on the channel recently. One here from Jacqueline. Why is Trump focusing on Spain? There are 9 other NATO members who also have not contributed anywhere near 3%. What about them? The US has around 6 times more the population of Spain. It's all relative, surely. Yeah, Jacqueline, thanks for the comment, but I don't think it has anything to do with population. It's all about a percentage of GDP. 5% is the percentage, and of course, depending on the country's GDP, they're going to pay more or less than other countries. The US, being the biggest economy in the NATO group, obviously paying a lot more than other countries. And other countries, obviously, with smaller GDPs are going to be paying less quantity, but 5% of that GDP. And the reason Trump is focusing on Spain, we saw it in the first article that we looked at today, is that all of the other NATO countries have come on board, but Spain is the only one that hasn't. And that is the issue. Earlier in the year, Pedro Sanchez said that he was on board with an increase in spending for NATO, but of course things in Spain have changed politically. Pedro Sanchez is under pressure, and of course he has to keep his coalition partners happy, hence the backtracking. One here from Gold Geologist. Interesting, as many eucalyptus trees were planted in Peru. Yeah, Gold Geologist, thanks for the comment. And the topic of eucalyptus trees here in Spain popped up in a video the other day. I was out and about filming, and somebody said, look at all the eucalyptus trees in that part of Spain. And it is quite common to see the humble eucalyptus tree all over the Iberian Peninsula. Go to Portugal, you will see eucalyptus trees everywhere. Go to the northwest of Spain and they are also very, very prominent. And the reason so many eucalyptus trees were planted in both Spain and Portugal is because it's a very fast growing tree. But now it seems this type of tree causes more problems than it brings benefits. And lots of people here in Spain and also Portugal would love to see the eucalyptus tree eradicated from the landscape. One here from Debbie. Stu, don't just leave us hanging about what strange things you've seen in Murcia. Inquiring minds want to know. Yeah, Debbie, thanks for the comment, but I can't remember exactly what I said about Murcia the other day. I might have mentioned that I saw some strange things, but I think that had more to do with the urban planning that has gone on in that part of the country. I don't know whether some of the people that planned parts of Murcia had any qualifications at all, just my opinion, of course. And it was also strange to see the amount of huge golf complexes in a part of Spain where it doesn't rain very often and water is of great concern. But that's about it. Everything else in that part of the country seemed normal. People were very, very friendly, and to be honest, I've got no complaints about Moria Spain. One here from That Gaming Brit: given that healthcare for soldiers is in the US military budget and it's not included in EU military budgets, it's provided by national healthcare services, 3.5% in EU is more or less equal to 5% in the US. Yeah, That Gaming Brit, thanks for the comment, and maybe what you have said in your comment is true. I've got no idea, to be completely honest with you, but try convincing Mr. Trump of that. The figure that has been put on the table is 5%, and as we know, Mr. Trump is very, very good with numbers. And if you don't believe me, just go back a couple of months when Mr. Trump was announcing all of those new trade tariffs. And the final comment here from Kazabaz: thank the graffiti artists for helping me with my Spanish. Yeah, Kazabaz, thanks for the comment, and you're right. A fantastic way to learn Spanish here in Spain is by reading all of the graffiti that you'll find basically everywhere you go throughout the country. There's not a public infrastructure project in this country that hasn't been riddled with graffiti. Most times the graffiti is absolute rubbish, but sometimes you'll find poetry written on the walls. On that note, I'm going to wrap the video up. Questions and comments, please leave them in the section below. If you have anything to add to the conversation today, please, the comment section is the place for you. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you never miss a video when I publish it. Until the next one, hasta luego from a hot Madrid.